Hello there, you're listening to Zolimari's Thoughts and Knots, and I skipped a week, unfortunately, or fortunate lah. Wait, it's an unfortunate, but at the same time it's fortunate for me because I had time to focus on something that I've always wanted to do, and I finished it just now. Yay! And there are a few reasons. Number one is that I'm doing animation, just like Domix, the narrative animation, and finally I've done one, and probably I'm going to continue doing so. It's fun because it keeps me constant, because like instead of just me talking in a podcast, it's like, hey, there's something. I mean, it's not just me talking or just me editing or changing, calibrating the video. And this time I'm able to like finish 3 minutes long audio that I recorded myself, and it took me 1 week to animate the whole thing. Well, of course, the storyboarding, the recording, the audio recording, it took like around 1 day only because it was easy. Because one thing that I realized is that I am a storyteller. Well, not a good one, but I love telling stories in a manner that is, I don't know, like in a way that I like. Depends. And second is that I recorded 2 topics. Number one was relationship, and second was I forgot, but it had something to do with if God hates me or something. But no, because no, God does not hate me. Second no is that I forgot what I was supposed to say. But those 2 topics, one thing that I realized when I'm recording podcasts is that if the recording, for example, if I'm recording and then suddenly the video keeps on getting cut or stopped midway, I'm calling it a day. I'm not going to continue that topic because I don't know, it's like a jinx for me. Like, well, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna talk about it. And second is that if I talk and then I feel like I feel drained, and I 100% sure that that topic is not gonna make people be like, oh, and if they'll listen to that, if I do post it or publish it on YouTube or anywhere, people are gonna get drained listening to it. So I cease, or I stop that topic, and then I'll just call it a day, probably call it a week, because it's tiring when I talk about such topics. So yes, those are the 2 main reasons. Okay, probably 3. It was not a good week. It wasn't. I was mentally drained, physically also, and I was unable to do stuff or continue doing it, like doing podcasts. But then on the bright side is that I'm able to finish an animation within the week. Yay. And yes, so for today's topic, I'm going to talk about the what ifs in my life or the what ifs in the world. Because one thing that I know, that we, throughout our lives, or whenever you're breathing, or whenever you're cooking, or whenever you're doing chores, or whenever you're doing work, whenever you are, whenever you are, you, or especially you, what do you call, you hit a wall in those situations, you will start questioning about life, which is bad. Do not do that. I mean, you can do it, but do not take it too seriously. Because when you question life, when you're in your negative state, you'll pretty much assume the worst thing that would never even happen. For example, how do I? For example, rather than example, let me just list down the what ifs that I've questioned ever since, or every time I hit a wall, or I not really literally hit a wall, like literally not like whenever something bad happens to me or I'm pissed off at something, these are the questions or the what ifs that I always think of. Like, number one was, for example, when COVID hits, I quit my job, and then jaga rumah, kinda. And if I know COVID was gonna happen, and I have to masak, to cook, to take care, or to kill my emotions and do chores. Because me being emotionally, my whole being is pretty much emotional, and my mom keeps on because I'm a complicated person. I'm very emotional, but yet I want people to be straightforward with me, because I want things to be done as soon as possible. Or if you want to eat, yeah, sure, and then I'll just cook, instead of you want to eat, it's okay, and then because deep inside they know this guy wants to do something, just let him be. No, I'll handle others, then I'll handle myself. See, it's kind of complicated. Why am I even alive at this point? Or how am I even why am I even how am I still surviving at this point? Because there's time that I've hit, but then it's it's okay, which is absolutely a bad way of thinking, personally. Because whenever those times happen and I brush it off as if nothing happened, I am 100% not acknowledging the problems that I face, and it will haunt me in the near future. So that will be another topic that I'll cover in the next episode. Please remind me if you're watching this, dear friends. And second, what else? Oh yeah, speaking of taking care of family, probably instead of taking multimedia, what if I didn't take multimedia and I took culinary instead? Well, it's a very weird choice because culinary is not taking care, but then you cook. But then it's like, then I wouldn't have to make mistakes or like, it's not salty enough. God, I live with complicated family. Or I'm the one's complicated. Anyways, to a point where I think that what if I do not take multimedia and just go to a professional butler course for a good reason. Like, this is a stereotype. Butlers, they serve you, like how most elders do. Serve, serve, serve. Kill, kill, kill emotion. Not kill people, kill our own emotion. Because like, we have things to do, but yet at the same time, people push this thing called responsibility. I mean, it's the old way of teaching, the old era teaching. And this is a reminder to the ones who are married or who are about to get married in the near month or this year. If you're going to like get married and you're going to have kids, I want you to think right now, what do you want from your kids? Do you want them to take care of you? If that's your answer, then well, as much as going to seem as if you're very controlled or very, not giving freedom to your kids, but then this is what you wanted. Send them to a butler school, or send them to a culinary school, or send them to any course that requires care or jaga you, instead of sending them to pursue their dreams. Now, that is a very old way of thinking. So, if you're thinking of letting your kids to be like, pursue dreams, be free, make us proud, or be proud of yourself, then one thing that you need to know is that you need to be prepared to let them go. Yeah. Well, rather than need to you need to be prepared to let them go. 100% support. Because pretty much every single day in my life, I question why the hell did I even take multimedia? Or why the hell did I even go to SBP? Or why the hell did I even go to asrama, boarding school? Why the hell did I even stay away for 9 years away from home? Yeah. Should have stayed at home, not go to school, and just start taking care of your own mom or your siblings. Because pretty much everyone know this already. My dad passed away in 2012. And it's like, it's funny how I keep on bringing that up. Probably it's a regret that happened inside me, but I have no idea what to do with it. Because, they say life goes on, and I kept on moving forward without even looking back. Well, rather than not looking back, it's more of I drag while moving forward, which is how I am now. I'm conflicted between two, the past and the future. I'm constantly moving forward, yet at the same time I'm dragging in the past, which is not good. Well, rather than I don't know what to do, it's more of a, well, at least I'm moving forward. At least I'm doing something. Am I happy? Because whenever I question if I'm happy or not, it's always me brushing it off like, you're too emotional, you're actually happy. And that's kinda true, probably 70% or 50%. But then, what's the point? Yeah. Anyways, I don't know how to continue from that, so I'll just move on. Oh, okay. Next, the what if. The third what if is that my brother is a high functioning autistic, if I'm not mistaken. Long story short, he's autistic, but he's normal. By normal, I mean he looks normal. People wouldn't, like, if he's walking in the middle of KL, people wouldn't know, oh, he's autistic. I think the ones that doesn't look like they're autistic is called high functioning, is it? Because they look normal, but then their brain works in a very different way than normal people. So one thing about my brother is that he's the type that 0 or 100. If it's 0 or, you know what it means, if it's 0 or 100. High stakes. Is it high stakes? Like, if it's not 100%, then I'm not gonna like it, or I'm not gonna do it, or I'm not gonna like approve it. Well, rather than that, it's pretty much just me also. See, being in an environment where perfection is king makes myself worse. I'm talking to you, SBP, Integrasi Gombak. Yeah. So, another thing about my little brother is that he is also, since this doesn't apply to other autism people of autism, because the spectrum is very different. Each people, I mean, there are a few similarities, but it's always different. The same way how every single of us have different fingerprints. And my little brother he likes science stuff, like talking about science. But then I'm an architecture stream, and I'm a multimedia. I'm more of a creative part and not the thinking part. I love doing things instead of thinking, which makes me kind of adventurous somehow, but not really. Somehow, not 100%. Adventurous in certain ways. And if I know that I have to be answering science questions, I should have taken science course instead. But because in this era where everything is questioned, like if you have a question like, why is the sky blue? Just go to Google. I mean, and this is another thing. If you're a parent or what you call an adult who is taking care or have to teach or care a young one, do not say like this, hey, why is the sky blue? Go ask Google. I do that a lot because being independent, like not really independent as if in financially or something, independent as in your lifestyle, your mind is independent, if something's wrong, you solve it on your own. I mean, it's subjective. You don't just like say, oh, someone who lives alone is independent. Nah. Some people who are independent can be incapable of doing stuff. That will also be in the next episode, where I cover capable, incapable, dependent, independent. Remind me that. Thank you. Yeah, probably should have took science class. I mean, I do love science. Like, I love astronomy. Astrology is not much of a science, but it does require some readings. Psychology, so I do know a bit. And I love the sea, the ocean. I love underwater. And before I knew that I was going to take engineering architecture stream during high school, I wanted to be a zoologist. Or I wanted to work at the zoo. I don't know if zoologist is working at zoo or not. I should check. Because the word, I don't know, whatever it is. Moving on. And as much as I am a designer or a multimedia designer, if I know that I have to decide furnitures for the new house, I should have taken interior design or interior architecture, because at least I have something to, like, you know, a guideline from what I learned, instead of like, because one thing, if you look at my room right now, I only have this and this, which makes me happy already. Want to know why? It's not the inside, it's because I have a goddamn room to record. Before I'm gonna check if it's recording. Great, good, this is still recording. And yeah, probably I should have like more standard in interior, because it's like when life's too complicated. I mean, I'm still 22. Life's not really that complicated. Am I 22 or 23? I forgot. God damn it. Anyways, because that kind of mindset where I think that life is already difficult and people are difficult to handle, make yourself simple. Do not make things more complicated. This is why I am simple in terms of choosing stuff, complicated when it comes to thinking. But the outcome is always simple. Although the process is difficult, it's always a simple outcome. Yeah. Next is that if I know that I have to listen to people's worries without even giving a goddamn thing, like, you know, do not indulge myself in that problem, I should have taken psychology class instead of multimedia. That is also what if I didn't take multimedia and just go for psychology, which is something that I am good at. Well, rather than good at, pretty much, I'm a natural at it. Well, rather than natural, I'm kind of bad at it. It's like, in terms of like counseling or listening to people's worries, both sides should like end up in a good term, or in a good, you know, win-win. The one who is voicing out is relieved, the counselor should also be relieved. Well, rather than counselor, the one who is listening. I don't like the term counselor anyway. Yeah, but good term. But then me, on the other hand, the one who is voicing out, is on a good term. Like, yay, I feel relieved. And me, on the other hand, I have to dwell on it for weeks because, oh my god, I keep on thinking about that. Yeah, something like that. Because I cannot step out of a problem or a thought or a situation. There are many few examples I can give. For example, this is a very weird example that I'm going to give. If I see blood, I should be okay. I mean, if I see blood, it should be okay. But then, if it involves a video like stabbing, like in the stomach, and it's very visual, or people just like detail description, like stab here and then twisted. Oh god, I get like what they call mabuk darah because I cannot stand that. I mean, I like gore things, but then if it's too detailed in the stomach part, I get nauseous, extreme nauseous. And that is, I mean, it, for some reason it does not happen directly at me, but it's just a very detailed or even just a visual video of it. I'll get something like that. Second is that, to quote unquote from what my mom sent or shared in an Instagram message, short post, I am pretty much an emotional sponge, and that is very true because I have very high empathy on people, and I'll know what it feels like this, like that. And if it's not correct at certain people, it's pretty much I'm overloaded with a certain someone's emotion or worries already. So if this happened, I'm real sorry because I'm a sponge. Literally. Well, not literally. Mentally a sponge. And so it's like, you know, these what ifs has been lurking or lingering in my head, especially when I'm in a rut. So it's like, do I even 100% regret, especially when it comes to like, is my life path the right path that I took? Well, rather than that, it's more of a like, the thing, doesn't it irk you when it comes to like, you learn things in like you wanted to pursue? Some wanted law, some wanted to be accountant, some wanted to be like any yada whatever it is, and people discourage you by saying, well, you're not going to do that anyway, so you're going to work as pretty much an admin. That literally angers me in a very whole different way than me being angry, why does the vacuum does not suck properly? Yeah. So all these what ifs, when you question it when you're in a negative state, you're not gonna what do you call get a good outcome from it, because you'll hate your life even much more. So if you question the same questions, those same what ifs in your life, when you're like after waking up or after watching something funny or something that you like, Netflix or something, whatever it is, when you're in a good state, in a positive state, when you question it, when I question it, it's pretty much, no, I don't really regret it. Because even if I do go to a butler school, I'll pretty much will not be able to do butler things, because this is Malaysia, not even UK or anywhere that has royalties to serve. I mean, why would I want to serve the royalties? Having a good pay does not mean I'm going to be happy anyway. And even if I'm going to be a scientist or a researcher to answer my brother's question, then my life would be constantly be questioning about life. I mean, I don't really mind doing that, but I would rather do stuff because it's in me, it's in my blood, it's in my personality to do stuff rather than doing a lot of thinking. I mean, I do a lot of thinkings, but because when I think, it's always in the negative side. So it's better if I just do things. And even if I do quit school and not go to SBP, I would pretty much die early because I mean, probably there's reasons in life, like if I stop going to school during like high school, pretty much I'll die. I'm not sure how to explain. Pretty much the skills of being independent or like solving problems the moment you face a problem, something like that. Yeah, well, rather than the word I'll die, it's pretty much I wouldn't survive. Yeah, that's the proper word. And speaking of, if I stop going to high school, I wouldn't be able to go to Japan because yeah, I went to Japan, Hiroshima. I miss Hiroshima. I miss going there. I mean, there are things that I question now, but that will be in the next one. Too much things to talk in one episode. Remind me again. So yes, long story short, the what ifs that I have in me, pretty much I don't regret taking multimedia or I have to face this now because everyone's having a bad time right now. COVID's not going anywhere, so we just have to suck it and be smart not to go out or be a politician, some who wants to do gatherings, unnecessary ones. That was a very long news, and that news is from a long time, not really a long time, I don't know when. January was it? Somewhere there. So yes, moving on, we shall read some what ifs from people, because I put up a link in my channel or in the Spotify, wherever it is. There's a link for you to fill up a form, a very short form. Do take your time to fill it up because it's only 3 questions: your name, your message, and a theme that you're going to suggest. And the what if theme, the theme for today's episode is pretty much what if, and I got it from there. It's funny because I didn't really what do you call post like if like post it, hey, I released this new episode on Instagram like how I used to do. And it's surprising to me when there are views. Like, thank you, because it's not that I don't want to like publish or like post or share. It's more of a, right now I would want to focus on making, which is because I cannot focus on 2 things. I would want to focus on making, and then when I hit like probably a lucky number 46, probably the 46th episode, then I'll just I've done kind of a lot of things in this, and then suddenly the views night or the number of watching hours go up, something like that. So yes, I'm going to read, because since there's not even much, there's only 1 or 2. I'll just choose. Let's see. This is from Dark Cry Blue. Hello, I don't know who you are, but thank you for watching and listening. And I don't know how you even find this podcast, but I hope it entertained you. From Dark Cry Blue. Was it Dark Cry Blue? I don't know. I mean, I can read it, but I can't focus. What if people who studied psychology really do know what you're thinking? Well, technically no. I mean, without without certain processes like asking, and without having judgmental thoughts, then pretty much through that process they should know. I mean, it's not really know, it's more of an analyze or a hypothesis rather than 100% conclusion that you are troubled. I mean, that is a very vague conclusion, because it should be subjective or detailed. Not rather than subjective, it's more of it should be detailed. You're troubled because you're like this due to this, and yada yada yada. A detailed conclusion. So technically, people who study psychologists do not know or cannot even know what you're thinking unless they're studying the secrets of body language. Are you lying? Something like that. Then it should be like 70%, depending. If they study, instead of using a generalized teaching, like just because someone raises their voice doesn't mean they're angry. Probably throughout their life, the way they talk is always high pitch, not really high pitch, pretty much high or very loud. See, there should be a constant where you should know, is this or like, is it changed, or is it like something like that? Yeah. So no, pretty much no. Moving on, next, let's see. pretty much everyone's asked. I mean, there's only 3 people asking the same thing, which is a very weird. What if psychology? Because pretty much I do talk about psychology or mental health. Yeah. What if people who study psychology really do know everything and that's the same thing? So that's pretty much it. And since it's a very short Q&A, rather than Q&A, it's more of a message and reading. And if you're watching, dear friends, do fill up that short form that I provided in the description below, because it would be fun if you could provide me something to read that you're willing for me to read and also talk about. Depending, if it's a short question, then it will be in the Q&A question, and if it's like a general question that I think that this seems nice, then fill that form and just tell me, because previously I do remember that I wanted people to like send through email, DM, Instagram. No, hell no. That's not gonna happen, because one thing, I'm not that famous much, and second, I don't have 1,000 people watching or listening to my podcast, and third, even if they do DM me, I'm not gonna read it, because I'm bad with DMs. And fourth, it's easy in forms, because in this era, filling up online forms is pretty much what people can like. This is easy, bam, depending on how long the form is. But majority would agree that if people give you an online form, hey, please fill up this form for my thesis, they would 100% or majority would pretty much fill that up. Number one, out of kindness. Second, because it's easy. And third, why not? And fourth, we're on the phone constantly. See, it's fun filling out forms, but do not fill up random forms that ask you to provide your bank details. Do not. You're gonna get in trouble. So no. And yes, is this still recording? Let me check first. Yes, this is still recording, and hopefully that was enjoyable, or rather enjoyable. It's a relief for me to talk things out, because I cannot talk my worries in front of people, so I use it in form of podcasts. Well, rather than I want people to listen to it, it's more of I want to talk it out loud to myself, and make something out of it. Yeah, something like that. And so I guess this is the end of today's episode. That is all from Zoli Molly's Thoughts and Knots. It has been Zoli Molly. Bye bye.